feminine receptivity in the context of marriage, a young man getting to know a girl, there would be, and again, I'm speaking in generalities here, um, a level of warmth, a level of softness, a capacity for patience, a capacity where the young man and young woman, if there's a misunderstanding, it can be clarified. There isn't this harshness, there's a level of forgiveness, because for a marriage to work, even the Western psychologists will tell you, there has to be forgiveness. If it's transactional and you did this and I did this and this is in the contract and I'm going to go talk to my dad, it's not going to work. Now, forgiveness and being patient, when we talk to our sisters, that in the past has been misused as if your husband is abusing you, be forgiving and patient. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying forgiveness and patience in the normal interpersonal day-to-day life. There's misunderstandings. Someone might say the wrong thing. That's not malicious. But we always have to preface, not in the case of malicious abuse. No. Sometimes being too forgiving might be very costly if you're being abused. But we're talking about general social interactions, relationships. There's a misunderstanding. We need to have the ability as both men and women to say, hey, you know what? I know what you said didn't land well. I'm hurt. Can we talk about it? What did you mean? Versus immediately taking a position and getting offended and feeling hurt. And this is for both men and women. Now, the way to overcome that is for young men and women not to see relationships as a power struggle. This is the corruption of the modern Western model. Western doesn't mean Christian or Jewish. This secular liberal model, everything is about power. Who's got the power? Who messaged who? He messaged me after 1 hour. I've got to now wait 4 hours because maybe he thinks I'm into him too much. And he got me this, so I'm not. It's all about power. It becomes a game of chess. That's not a relationship. Relationship is, hey, I like you, you like me, we both love Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Let's talk. Let me meet your dad. We shouldn't complicate it, right? Boy likes girl, girl likes boy. But when we make it a game of chess, and sometimes the parents of the girl force the young man to play a game of chess, thinking they're being smart, asking for huge dowries. In the end, the guy is building up all this resentment. He's jumping through all the hoops. He gets the girl in the end. Then that resentment is going to come out somewhere in the marriage. So the fathers and mothers have to be wise here. This is not a game of chess. It's not about power. This is not about economic transactions. Right? We have to get real as a community and let young men and women also find spaces where they can interact, man. Right? If every single thing is segregated, then they're going to be forced to interact on Instagram and on Facebook Messenger. There has to be halal spaces where young men and women can meet, can see each other, if we don't want them to fall into haram. So the community has to have practical common sense that is in alignment with the Islamic principles. We need to update some of the ways we do things because it can do more harm than good. That's my personal opinion anyway. Admitting to the Western paradigm of it's all power. That's why they say now, men need something called game. You need to have game. Game means you need to be able to play chess so you can checkmate the girl and deceive her to get something from her. And she's also looking at you as what's he doing, what's his play, what's going to happen. So the connection and intimacy is destroyed because the relationship has become a commodity. What am I going to get from this? What are you going to give me? But what are you going to give me without me declaring what I want? Because then I'd look weak. I have to put on this strong facade. And then that's a lot of the girls now. And then the only guy that can break through that facade is a guy that is borderline psychopathic. Because the guy that is a bit naive, he's not going to be able to do it. He doesn't have game. For a man to be loving and kind, he's got to be strong. It's not one or the other. And the sisters want strength, but kindness as well. Whereas with a lot of the brothers, if they have the strength, it's hard for them to be kind because they see it as weak, right? So the girl is. Then a lot of the girls go into the fantasy of I'm going to be the one that softens him up, and then the problem the guy has is he can get the girl because he's got the game, but once he's got her, he doesn't know what to do with her. He can't touch her heart. And the guy that would be able to touch her heart and be more romantic often doesn't spark as much attraction initially as the guy that can't touch her heart but can attract her. So for the young brothers, the good guys in the community, you do need to learn how to develop a bit of an edge. Because what's happening with a lot of good young brothers is they say, I get rejected, it's not working. Well, in part, you've got to take responsibility for that because you do now have to be a little bit more aware of your presentation, how you speak, understand a bit about female psychology. Is not the same as 1990 or 2000 or even 2010. There are more difficulties now in the environment we live in, but for the men, that means you need to upskill. You need to see it as an opportunity to have a bit of an edge without being toxic. Right? But look sharp, dress sharp, think sharp. Give yourself the best odds if you want to get married and have your pick of girl that you like, right? Yeah, I think we have to balance that because there has to be some level of attraction. Because as a clinician, if there's no attraction, you see these people end up in marriage counseling. So it's got to be a balance. I think crazy levels of attraction tends to create troubles long term. But at the other extreme of the bell curve, if there's no attraction, that creates as much problems. So there does have to be a level of physical chemistry. It is a prerequisite. It's like yeast. You need some yeast for the loaf to rise, right? You're not going to be able to bake a loaf of bread without yeast. That's that spark of chemistry. We need that spark. It's not the full loaf of bread. It's the yeast.